I have a topic related to victims of mind control weapons in Iraq, and I read this because I saw that many of them have made a mistake. For example, they do not know why the gang is chasing them, and all that this gang is a mistake. The victims also made mistakes without knowing this, and the reason is that this gang made it is an organization of itself, and it has laws that have no legitimacy, blatantly fraud laws, that are the hunting others and exploiting the need are very normal matters. For example, they have laws of belonging to them, and these laws do not really victims anything about. First it came to us, for example, they do not have a fixed and known place or a well-known building so that a person can avoid going to them because they are again outside of the law, that the wrong circumstances in Iraq make them something here. Completely was, for example, they are located in shops or a regular home or a public car or even within a government department or even inside police stations. Our police control also. This is the most important thing that is understood in the Bible Church. Here is a second important thing, and it is also its filthy laws. For example, we all know if a person wants to belong to an organization or association, then he goes to them and trust as long as he asks to belong to them, or if he was a distinguished person, perhaps they are the ones who contact him in order to offer him to wish with them, and if he agrees, there are very well-known procedures. For example, he looks at the rules of procedure for them and knows what is duty and what is etc. so that he knows after that he belongs with them, and if he wants to resign from them or leaving what also there are known procedures, including submitting a resignation request. That the situation is completely different with you at or drank from them something anything, then this means belonging to or took money or something, no matter how simple it is. I mean of clothes etc. Also talk with them.
الصحن الساقط خطوط فظيع يا بلاشي أتحمله والآن الصحن الساقط خطوط فظيع يا بلاشي أتحمله والآن.
To act, here is another thing. This gang is clinging to such laws because it is an element of strength for them, and it is a trap for hunting victims. I mean, these people do not say who they are well known, but just questions that seem very normal, that they explain them in another way, and then the person finds himself and has become a member of them without knowing this. Here I have something else. They resemble, for example, a military law in which there are soldiers and there are officers responsible for them, and if the soldier violates there are penalties for him, and here in the military law no one has the right to intervene. Here the same thing when they do harm against the victims who are considered as their agents, and they have the right to punish them if they know they haven't. As I said, they are dirty gangs. For example, is there a job without a salary? Of course not, especially working in the government or security. There must be a well-known fixed salary, and it is given as a salary, but there are tricks at this point. For example, they consider some food or drink as if it is a salary, but when it triggers to a person from them and you sit with him, he will consider this as if it is a profit for you or salary, and then he says that you work for him or even drink water. Note these laws are not fixed. Are the defects for the sake of hunting the victims. Here, if the victims remember that someone asked questions, for example, I gave her food, drink, something, or even money in a different form, for example, help, but all of them are considered by the gang as a salary. Of course, the reason for theirs is that others do not treat this way also. State corruption in Iraq gave them legitimacy and made them as if they were an organization the same as the rest of the non-governmental organizations, while they were a poisonous snake that eliminated every strong organization in Iraq in order to remain alone, and then they took control of everything and made Iraq a phrase. 3. At cells so that state institutions will become organizations in their own way. There is something I want to say, which is that their devil of Iraq was a complete disaster. They have become a reference or haven for gangs, and the source of their as if it is the clan of every thief and terrorist everywhere. And America and their heirs, who provide it with financial support and shelter, are like hyenas that had no place, but they controlled Iraq, and in the beginning they make their the against the international forces in Iraq and had nothing to do with them, but after the departure of those forces, this gang took control of everything. No one is capable of them in Iraq, and they have become the ones who lead everything. After this, they are looking for everyone who is like them everywhere outside Iraq in order to make him a terrorist who betrays a town for their dirt. Even the issue of the Holy Spirit is also just a deception from them, as they do not know any religion at all. There is a trick saying that they were a good organization and then they became bad. This is not true. They are the biggest conspiracy against Iraq. This is their bearer is an intelligence officer from the previous regime and not at all a cleric, but he lied and made himself change his religion, and with them also a security agent from the days of the previous regime, and he works as a policeman, and both of them are devils here. We have a lie, which is the so-called organization of God that is divided into two halves, half intelligence and the other is police, and this dirty game according to the lie that this organization is associated with the Holy Spirit, this devil, the intelligence officer who made himself a prophet, a guardian of the Holy Spirit, or an interpreter for it. Here will come the very well-known game, which is the game of hunting goons from the victims of choice.
Of the demons of the mind. The demons of the mind.
The demon walks in the forest of night.
Of the demons of the mind.
The demon walks in the forest of night.
Torments of the flesh from the demons of the mind. The demons of the mind.
The demon walks in the forest of night.
Torments of the flesh from the demons of the mind.
Six at. On its terms also, this organization is something like a group of thieves that brings a foolish person who is responsible for them, but they do not take any words from him and make him a servant for them only, but when they steal anything, they say that he is the manager over them or he who gave orders to them. Also there is a game called the Unseen, but to God they say that this knows the unseen and he knows everything they do. I mean, it will become just a scarecrow, not a manager or an official, so one recognizes it, but only a scapegoat that bears responsibility for Shinzo only, and whatever he tries, he will not be able to change anything. It is just a column on which a camera has been placed. There is something another is some of the gang's tricks in making idiots among the victims of choice behave behaviors they want to do. For example, they cut off electricity and this is a game from them, battery brainless among the victims of choice important. For example, while the gang laughs at them, there are other games, for example, launching electronic planes. After this, the cow sees it as the victim of choice and thinks that it is a real plane, and after this he will plunge into the sea of illusion and begin to act as if he has become a leader, manager, a person who has become very important. That resembles a singer frog, and this is something that many victims participated in, who initially thought that they had obtained a treasure that deserves to hide its matter and not tell anyone about it, but after a while they will know the truth, but it is too late, so the gang exploited Thurley and Thurlia as well. There are other games, for example, the internet, and this is an important thing that the gang uses to make the victim, the donkey, think that he has become a very important person, so that heads of state wish that this stupid would see them or their important personalities who want to look at them or say they are good or find.
Jose Delgado conducted an experiment in which he was able to control the actions of a bull. Using a chip implanted in the bull's brain, Delgado was able to push a remote button when the animal started charging, and actually stop it in its tracks. The chip works by using a stimoceiver, which electrically stimulates different regions of the brain. Investigations have been flourishing in recent years, with reports of researchers being able to remote control a rat, pigeons, and even
you would have an infrared device that followed the person, and you would link it to a pencil-thin microwave source, so the microwave beam would always target a specific gland or a specific part of the brain or an eye or a heart. So you would have them being targeted. Yeah. I mean, humans, the difference between humans are like guinea pigs. If they want to experiment on you, by the thousands, they will. And you can be driven to insanity and death, and you just become a tick in a box without any so much as a feeling. Yeah, and this is what they do, and this is why they are above the law. And are they going to get away with it? Yes, because they are untouchable. They are outside the law.
Who is actually behind those decisions? Is this Sankt?
They are outside the law.
Who is actually behind those decisions?
They are outside the law.
Who is actually behind those decisions?
They are outside the law.
Who is actually behind those decisions?
Why? They are above the law. Why? They are above the law. Why? They are above the law.
ATAT. There are branches in which there are good and others are terrorism, but all of it is a terrorist network led by a terrorist and an intelligence officer who made himself a prophet, or a voice of God, or interpreter of the Holy Spirit, a guardian of it, and made his gang appears a holy organization while it is a terrorist and gang's organization. Only also the Satan has a way to lead his gang by making them one against the other, or one looking for the other, or all of them believe that the leader is with them alone and he hates others, and so he also has a way to hold his elements or branches accountable by making one punish the other, as this organization is not a respectable organization in which there is a well-known law and a specialized committee for it. They are like a herd of cows, one punishes the other. Also the game of strength, the strong one controls the weak, and I mean muscle strength, for example. So we find that every organization managed from this organization will choose people for now only, not, for example, people who understand or have scientific competence, but all of them again leaders only. All of theirs are killers and terrorism and thieves who do not understand anything other than the language of harm, and according to the terms of the game, they do not use weapons among themselves because they are one family. Only one reports the other, but there is something that happened, which is that the security, the terrorist organization, formed a new formation in it. They are the morally degraded section, the youth are the homosexual, and this section will use weapons for mind control, but secretly against its colleagues in this gang who remained fighting among themselves without weapons, and thus overtook them easily and started killing their bears one by one, and something non. These are gangs who do not understand anything about such weapons, and thus the homosexual security agent has become completely half of this gang and threatens the other half that is led by a foolish person from this gang. Of course, this is an internal gang affair with Laschen.
As a result, cult leaders can gain control of their followers' critical thinking skills, their thoughts, their emotions, and even their behavior. Number 9.
9. Because of it, for us, because it is something related to this gang between them, or an internal conflict aimed at obtaining gains from the money and property of this gang of terrorism. As for the position of this leader regarding such competition within his gang, he has made himself neutral or not interfering, but I have something like this. I mean, in this conflict they are like a hyena clan that competes and fights with each other, but they are supposed to keep such a conflict away from others and do not mix themselves in common areas and go to isolated areas in order to fight among themselves. They are a herd of animals, but what happens is that they do not solve such a conflict or competition for them except among people. Others are hurt by this thing, but perhaps there is another reason, which is that they see us that we are the prey that they fight over, and we are only looking at them and waiting for them to win in order to prey on us and not to crush these two. And there, who made himself a judge between them, also is this damned terrorist leader who wants to deceive others and make himself like a mother who has children and they quarrel with each other while she is a neutral person and has no fault, while the truth is that she is the first responsible. As for her children, it is a herd of cows is in her hand, and the reason for the fight is that each one of them wants to stay with him as only because she owns the house or money, and they are just filthy servants. She has all of them live about dirty laws. Because she is a homosexual demon, she is also in charge of those who make themselves a thing of unity among this filthy family.
Boom. And the funny thing is, your friends and your family and your other loved ones, they become sort of ghost-like, but the cosmos itself, nature itself, suddenly has discovered that you are the chosen one, and it's chasing you to touch the slip of your garment because you are the one. The irony is, of course, that as I speak this sentence, tens of thousands of people worldwide are insane, and they all feel that they are the chosen one. So something is not right there. Anyway, the thing is, you never really discover what you are chosen to do, because it's like dreaming, but on steroids. You're chosen to do a bazillion things. You get a million revelations, as weird as John's in the Bible. And this information floods your brain until you short circuit, you talk nonsense, and you wet yourself. You are officially insane. The tragedy is, of course, that...
10 at. Now I have something that fits a very shameful joke, which is that we keep watching the struggle within this organization, terrorism between adults and homosexuals, degenerate or young people. Now this gang means terrorism divided into two halves, and there is a conflict between them, and it is a struggle within one family in which we have no interest or benefit at all, and there is a terrorist leader who leads this family. Terrorism here. It is interesting that the one who wins will continue to prey on us instead of they, but now competing in this, and we instead of us seizing this opportunity to eliminate them both and their deals with them. We will watch them. They do not really the reason for fight is that each of these people wants to remain devoured. It only matters here. Much more than there are two evil parties, and it is also interesting that any idiot has no mind trying to support one of them or making with him or represent him or depend on him with something. This will be the greatest fool, because these are one family and they will unite among themselves. For example, now the party of the elders in this gang is almost completely lost because the youth party uses weapons for mind control against it, and almost all the elements of the force have been killed. Also all the elements of the adult group have become completely paralyzed due to the fact that the youth group made its members completely in the midst of them, meaning you find that the father is with the adults, while his son, wife, or brother is from the youth group, and this means he will not do anything, and he is lost. Also he will not be able to harm his son, or brother, or his wife at all, because of family affection. 11 at. While the opposite is true for the other side, because the members of the youth group are all half-human, slides were planted for mind control, and thus any illusion they have has ended, and this means that they will be killed easily, or they will plant mind control slices on those around them here. Go back to something, which is as we have no interest in all of this. They are all enemy.
What matters is, how do I get out of this place?
Intimidation.
Next week, you're up for evaluation. If it goes well, you'll qualify for a supervised release program and eventually
I'm
parole.
so sorry, Doctor.
I've done horrible things. No, deny everything, confess nothing.
I saw him do the bad thing.
I'll tell you, you can read my thoughts. I'm being held here against my will.
You're here because the alternate selves inside your head have taken control.
That's hilarious. Wait, are you a real doctor? Give me a break. I know who I am.
Then tell me.
John Jacob Jingleheimer Smith. That's my name too.
Whenever we go out, the people always show.
Stop talking.
Never amount to nothing. Never has before. Never will exist. That's why they're here.
Mary, life is but a D.
D. You said D. Does your name start with a D?
That's my name.